What do you think, Paul? Ready to go?
Yeah, I say let's go.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Dennis Smeltzer, president of TSANet. I've got Paul Esch with me, director of strategy and business development. I got Stephanie Benson over in the UK making sure that I get the slides right. We're going to walk through this. This is really, and I'm so glad that we've got so many people that signed up for this. It tells me that people are still interested in TSANet. It's been around since 1993, and a lot of what I hear is, yeah, I heard about it, or I used to know about it, and I want to know if things have changed about it. So we're here just kind of give you the basics. If you've never heard about TSANet, this should give you a really good idea of what you can expect and what we do as an organization. So that's the objective of this. We're up to well, we started in 1993, and we're now at the highest point that we've ever had. So the number of members that we have is now over 800. I believe we're a little over 830 members now. So it is growing. Our mission within the industry is to be able to provide a collaboration mechanism for our members. We are a not-for-profit. We're very member driven. So everything that you see here isn't that TSANet's coming in and trying to sell you something. This is what we did. It's a member organization. You join into this as a member. You're supporting the alliance that way, and then you're telling us, hey, this is from a collaboration, a multi-vendor collaboration perspective. This is what I need to do. This is the best way for me to work with our customers and things like that. So this is what I need from you as an alliance. So if I was to boil that down into three different bullets of what we provide from a value perspective, the first one I just talked about, right? We're vendor neutral, not for profit. The other thing that we did was we went in and we got all these big companies, lawyers and legal teams to agree to a common set of verbiage that says, if you're going to collaborate with another member, how are you going to handle confidential information, things like that. That goes into what we call a code of conduct. That code of conduct is agreed to by every member with no exceptions and no changes. Now we can build, it's a foundation. We can build on that with what we call addendums, and you can change relationship elements, and you can have all sorts of different relationships. We'll talk about that here in a minute. But as a foundation, this code of conduct is the same document that everybody is agreeing to. So it makes it really easy to form relationships for you to pull members in. And we'll talk about the relationship structure and things like that. And we're going to spend quite a bit of time actually talking about this tactical interface that's called TSANet Connect. And this is something that's come up over the last few years, and we've really started to develop this to make it a more streamlined method for you to be able to collaborate with another member company. And we'll talk about that and some of the things that we're doing, and even talk maybe a little bit about some of the things that we're planning on doing as well. Look, the whole point of this is to be able to provide a mechanism that allows you not to finger point customers. And I think everybody's been through this where you call up a service provider or something and they tell you, well, it's not my problem, call somebody else. And then you really get frustrated if you call somebody else and they tell you, oh, I don't know why they told you to call me. So the whole point of this is to be able to work with your customers, not finger point them around, and provide a collaboration path for you to be able to work with another member company. It's never been a high volume thing. We'd like to see the call volumes actually come up a little bit. But it is there in case you need it. And typically when it's used when you got to have be able to collaborate with another member company. So the relationship structure is actually set up this way, right? It's really kind of set up into these two different groups. There's what we call the open group environment, which is basic and premium members. And then we have what we call the custom group environment, or we've actually categorized it as partner programs. And it covers a lot of different areas. But when we started the organization, one of the big value adds was that you came into this big ecosystem with a bunch of different companies. And that still remains true today. So we've got what we call the basic and the premium TSANet. And it's the basic TSANet is probably around 90 different companies, maybe a little over that. And what it allows you to do is to come into this ecosystem, and then you automatically have a relationship with everybody that's in that ecosystem. We split that up a little bit because there were some companies that said, well, okay, but I need a higher level commitment. I've got enterprise level customers. I need to make sure that I can work with them on a 24/7 basis or on a global scale. So what we did was we took in the basic TSANet and then categorized that into a subset of members that are able to collaborate at that higher level. And we'll get into the SLAs and things like that. We'll talk about that. But so the takeaway is the premium TSANet is a subset of the basic TSANet. There's I'm guessing around 60 different companies, but those companies have agreed to work with each other on a 24/7 basis with higher level SLAs and on a global scale as well. This whole thing in the open group environment only works because you're going to have all these different companies, which means you could have competitors, you can have partners, all sorts of different companies that would be in that group. So what we did was we defined some parameters around when the obligation is that you have when you're in that group, when you have to work with another member company. And that obligation revolves around an end user mutual customer. So what we're saying in this open group environment is you have an obligation to respond back to the company, but you don't have an obligation to work with another member company unless that customer is an entitled mutual customer. So we're talking about typically an end user mutual customer. So the mutual customer is a benefactor of TSANet, but they typically don't even know that it's happening. They're not a member of this organization. You're a member of it, and you're calling another member on behalf of that end user mutual customer. So I wanted to make sure that was clear. And then on the right-hand side of the equation, the best way for me to explain this is to tell you that several years ago, our members came back to us and said, well, this open group thing works out really well, solves most of my needs, but I got a partner program and I need to make sure that after we're out of development and we're into production, that those partners have got a way to collaborate with me on the support side, or I need a way to collaborate with them. But they don't want to join into the big open group environment and have that. They've only got a couple of different companies that they work with. So we created the ability for our members to be able to host programs, and they would be able to pull in other companies, and we call these limited members, where they can come into a one-to-one relationship with another member company. And so that is the ability that they have now. Sometimes they're even hosted. It's one element of, so the partner programs is one way to do it. You need to look at this as a relationship infrastructure. There could be solution support environments that where the mutual customer has already been defined. It could be a much more strategic relationship with another company. The point is that you can use TSANet a lot of different ways, and this custom group environment, partner groups, is another way for you to do it. So some of you are actually on here on this call as you're a limited member. And you can go to TSANet.org and be able to pull up the member list, and it'll even categorize you and show you what level of membership that you have in TSANet if you want to take a look at that. So this is new. This actually just happened this week, although it's been something that we've been working on for several months now. So I'm going to show you in the next few slides here, if you want to collaborate with another company, how you do that. And it's through this TSANet Connect platform. And we'll talk about the details behind that. But this is the thing that we found out was that we don't really process a lot of what we would call customer sensitive information. But because it involves a mutual customer, we are processing the fact that there is a mutual customer and you identify who that is. And some of companies came back to us and said, if you're going to do that, we've got to know that you're doing this in a data secure environment. So the way to do that really is to get what we call ISO 27001 certified. We just got that this week. So it's something that we have been through. You can see the bullets here that we've talked about, what it requires you to do. It's really quite an interesting process. It has to do with information security management, how you're handling data, encrypting data at rest, how you're all the safeguards that you put in place to make sure that you're processing this in a secure manner. And then our audit, which is another process in itself, we just finished up and we just got certified this week. So we are now ISO 27001 certified. That may not mean a lot to a lot of you on this call, but it could mean a lot to the IT departments when you go to say, hey, I want to use TSANet. And by the way, this process that they're using, this TSANet Connect platform, is 27001 certified. So it can be a big deal when you go to actually implement this within your support organization. So this is that process. This is the TSANet Connect process. And it's really quite simple, but I want to start out with defining what it is and a little bit of what it is not. And so what it is the ability for you to be able to submit a support case to another member company, or if you're on the receiving end, to be able to acknowledge that case and tell the other member company, okay, I got it. This is how we're going to work together. Once that process is complete, TSANet steps out of the way. You're using your own CRM system. You're using your own business processes to be able to work with another member company. This is not a separate CRM system. We do have the ability for you to be able to integrate. So there's a lot of companies that have done some very simple integration into their CRM system, like a Salesforce or a ServiceNow environment. We can do some of those things, work with you on those kind of things, customize it a little bit. A lot of companies, what they do is just create an alias email. And so it flows in to that queue, and those engineers know what TSANet is. They know that it involves another member company, because you got to remember what's happening here is you're not getting a support request direct from the customer. You're getting a support request direct from a partner that your customer called first. So that's what's happening. You typically want to marry that up with entitlement, maybe do some things with it. We can certainly do some things within your CRM system as far as automatically replying and things like that. Or it can be as simple as you just set up an email alias and it flows into that queue, and those engineers take that call, triage it, and then send it off to wherever it needs to go. So let me kind of walk you through this process a little bit step by step, and then I'll actually get into the database and actually show you an example of a member company that's set up some custom fields and some things like that. So everybody has their own landing page. So when you sign up, if you're a member of TSANet, regardless of your member level, you're going to have your own landing page. And depending on the relationship that you have, which depends on the level of membership that you have within the organization, then on the left-hand side, you're going to see all those partners that you can collaborate with. If you're a company like a VMware or a Cisco or a Palo Alto, or I could go down the Red Hat, I could go down the list, what you're going to see is maybe a lot of your partners, because you pulled in partners into your own ecosystem. So you see those show up as well. You can set up your favorites. Some companies that we set up what we call our premium members may have done this through single sign-on, or you would set this up to where it's very easy for you to set up your own account. But we can do single sign-on as well. And then if I wanted to collaborate with another company, this is what we call the standard form. So on the left-hand side over here, where you see test contact, and I've just given an example here of a test company, this would already be predefined. This would already be filled out. You would have the engineer's information in here that would go in, and then down here in this field, if the customer had called me first, well, I've already created a ticket. Then I've decided I need to collaborate with another member company, so I've already got a ticket, and I would put in that ticket number. This is important because, like I said before, TSANet is going to step out of this process. And when we do, this will give you some metrics to go back and be able to pull all sorts of data and metrics out of the system, because you'll have an account number here. But again, what we're doing here is we're submitting enough information for you to be able to submit a support request to another member company. So you wouldn't put in log files or anything like that. You want to put in enough information down here that tells that other member company, this is the kind of problem that I got. And then over here, this would be where I'd put in who the mutual customer is, because they're going to want to know that, okay, who is the customer? What level of entitlement do they have with me, et cetera, that kind of thing. So and we'll talk about custom fields in these areas here in a minute. But this would be where you put that in, and then depending on the relationship that you're using in TSANet, will also be the ability for you to be able to select different SLAs. And this is an acknowledgement SLA. So there's all sorts of things that happen if the company doesn't acknowledge the ticket within the time frame that's selected here. Then it triggers some escalation policies in the background, and TSANet gets involved in it, things like that. But you'll be able to select an SLA. Again, I go back to this doesn't mean that other company necessarily is going to be working the issue. They're going to work the issue probably based on the customer's entitlement, but they should come back to you and say, this is how I'm going to work the issue based on the priority that's selected here. Then that engineer that submits the ticket is going to get an email back from connect@tsanet.org. Everything is coming from connect@tsanet.org that summarizes what they just submitted. And in addition to that, they're going to get some escalation information that if that company doesn't come back and acknowledge that ticket, they can escalate the call. Or if for whatever reason that they feel like they need to escalate it down the road, they can come back and here's escalation instructions specific to that company that you just submitted that ticket to. So if I flip this around the other way, and now we're not talking about integration with CRMs necessarily, but we're talking about a ticket coming in. And let's just say that it goes to an alias email. So it's going to come in and it's going to summarize whatever information was on that form. Again, it's coming from connect@tsanet.org. It can go to anybody. They don't have to be in the system or anything like that. But whoever's going to get this ticket, they're going to respond to whatever, right? Whoever that member is, they're going to click on this button up here, and then it's going to pull up this form that says, okay, this is my case number. Here's the engineer that's going to work the issue, and then over here, this is how we want to collaborate. Because remember, after I click submit here, what's happening is this is going back to the engineer that submitted that ticket, and then TSANet is stepping out of the process, and you're going to track it however you want. So if this could very well be over here, I'm going to call you, I want you to call me, here's the link, we'll open up a Slack channel, whatever it is, however it is that you want to work this issue with this other member company, you're telling them, and then again, TSANet is stepping out of the way. So let me give you a kind of a real life example here, what this looks like. Doing fine on time here. So I pulled in here, I'm going to be test company, and I'm going to pull up, let's VMware. So we'll come down here to VMware, and I'm going to pull up, and again, right here's the form, right? My information's been pre-populated over here. I would put in my case number, I'd put in a problem summary. Now what they've done on this end is they've said, I need to know what products are involved here. So these are where we go in and we can create custom fields. Different companies will do it different ways. You may find some companies over here want to have a serial number or something like that. So you may have to go back to that customer and say, hey, I can work with this other company. You don't need to start that process all over again, but I need your serial number, or I need this or that about what it is, because what's happening in VMware's case, it's actually creating a ticket for them in their CRM system, and then the workflow is it's going to a team that triages it. They're looking at it, sending off to the correct team to be able to work the issue. So different companies are going to do it different ways depending on their integration, or it may just go to an alias email where a group of engineers are looking at it and going, I know what this is, I know what this is involved with, and this is how we're going to handle the issue. And that kind of thing. So that's what these custom fields look like. There's nothing really special about it. There are some limitations with limited members don't have the ability to create custom fields, but our basic and premium members, we can create custom fields for you. And then also we can even work with you on some integration, further integration, if that's something that you want to do within your CRM system. Ooh, back to the beginning, didn't want to do that. So we're just about wrapped up here. I want to pull up this slide right here and talk a little bit about other things that we're doing. So we're an organization, right? And we've got regional focus groups, and these things have really taken off, especially we've seen a lot of interest out of our Europe and India focus groups. Japan is just now getting up to speed, but basically it's where our members can get together and they can talk about TSANet and maybe some tactical things that they want us to look at, maybe doing a little bit more further integration is what we've heard. We just ended up doing a SWOT analysis with our focus group members, but it also could be topics that are outside of the boundaries of multi-vendor support. Our Europe focus group has been talking about data security was a big thing to them. Talking about metrics that they get, customer satisfaction metrics, things like that. So we have these focus groups a couple of times a year. Obviously, because of COVID, we've been doing them online, but they've been really well attended, and it's a good way for the engineers or managers to be able to get together, talk about some of the common problems they got, and then talk about how they can maybe get TSANet more fully integrated into their support structure. So these are things you can get a hold of myself, Dennis, or really Paul at TSANet.org is the one that does a lot of work with our focus groups, and we can get you on that list so you can attend those things. And let's see, I think that is going to be it. There is a ton of information out on our website. It's got, we're getting ready to post a lot more 27001 stuff up there. So we've got information on that as well as other issues revolving around how we handle data security and things like that. If you've got any questions, you can send it to membership@tsanet.org, or I'm Dennis at tsanet.org. Paul is on here as well. Stephanie is on here as well. It's all first name at tsanet.org. And I don't have anything else. I've pretty much talked out. Paul, anything else you want to bring up, talk about that maybe I missed?
Yeah, no, just maybe a reminder on the main TSANet.org website, there's a resources section, which does have quite a bit of information about TSANet Connect for administrators. And one thing that we introduced this year is regional training for your support engineers. So if you go there, you'll see a thing for training. Obviously, we've got the recorded sessions, but if you want something, it's about maybe 15, 20 minutes that's specific for support engineers, cover some of the same stuff, but probably a little bit more tuned towards them. You can have them register for those regional sessions.
Okay, and Paul, I can't see the Q&A. Do we have any questions from anybody?
I don't see any.
Okay, so again, right, if you want more information, you want to take this further, there's a lot more to this, right? We talk about how these partner programs are implemented, how you can create your own ecosystems and do things like that. More than happy to walk you through that. Just wanted to give you the high level of this is what this is what we do. These are the things, some of the things that we have done to keep up with the industry. So thanks very much for joining. This recording will be made available. Stephanie will get that out to everybody. This meeting, yes, it is recorded, so we'll make sure that if you signed up for it, that it'll go out to you. All right,